You're in class, you look at the time, it's right after lunch, and you feel this like wave of tiredness like spill over you. This is exactly what I experienced at about like 2:30 p.m. every single day, and also what I hear many other people experience too. Hey bro, my name is Orpheus Onassis. I'm a 16-year-old calisthenics athlete and coach. What I want to talk about today is the meta sleep schedule I hear no one else talking about. This is actually the sort of natural schedule. With the sleep schedule, I've been able to kind of be energetic, right? Like during my late nights, early mornings type thing. So like early mornings would be like 4, 5, 6 a.m. Late nights would be like 10, 11, maybe even 12 p.m. a.m., sorry. And so my promise to you is that if you commit to this during this summer where you don't have school, and I'll get into why you shouldn't have school during this program, but essentially, if you commit to this during summer, you're gonna enjoy more early mornings where you're gonna be, let's say, productive, right? You're gonna enjoy more late nights, be that productivity or like going out with friends, and you're just gonna have a more nice all-around sleep schedule, and it's gonna kind of feel like the key you've been waiting for. So I'm kind of hyping it up a lot, but it's essentially the siesta sleep schedule. If you haven't heard this word, it's like a Spanish word, but essentially what you do is you have your regular night, but you start sleeping a bit later, right? So that would be let's say around 11 to 12 a.m. you sleep, okay? So this means night. Then you wake up at about 5 a.m. or 5 to 6 a.m. So you wake up 5 to 6 a.m., right? So this is kind of too little sleep in this sense because this is probably around 5, 6. Yeah, this is around 5 hours of actual time asleep. Since if we're in bed for let's say 6 hours, that's with an 85% actual efficiency. You are at about 5 hours. So just so you understand the kind of math behind it. And so you only get 5 hours or so of sleep here. So this is 5, maybe, no, sorry, this is not 5. This is actually around 6, okay? And so you get about 6 hours of actual sleep here, okay? After that, you move on and you have a nap, right? Your siesta it's called, at around 2 p.m., okay? 2 p.m. you have your siesta, and then you kind of sleep until about 3:30 p.m. And so this is, usually you're gonna be in bed for a little bit longer, but it's gonna be 90 minutes because this is one sleep cycle. Okay, so this is essentially the idea. You get about 6 hours to 6.5 hours in the night, and then you get 90 minutes during the day. Okay, that's kind of the idea, and this totals to about, 7, maybe 8 hours, depending on, how you set it up. Okay, now that's what it is, but how do we actually, implement it? How you implement it is you need to kind of, force it. I don't like stuff taking a lot of time, so I usually like to brute force stuff. I assume you're kind of the same since you watch me. And so how you kind of brute force implement this is you get less sleep, and then you kind of stack it over to then. And so how this will actually look like is today, let's say, you go and sleep 5 hours. So that's about 6 hours in bed or so. Roughly almost 6 hours in bed, okay? In bed. And what that'll do, obviously, it'll make you tired, and so you'll get sleepy earlier, and it'll kind of exaggerate that dip, that you have throughout the day. So this is your energy levels. So usually I think most people's are kind of like this, and then big dip for me here, then back down. So that's kind of how my energy levels look like. Maybe a bit more of a dip here. That's how mine's look like, and this is about 2 p.m. here. And so this will just become a bit more exaggerated when you sleep even less. And so you'll be even more incentivized to actually sleep during that siesta time. And so every other sleep thing I've talked about in my other videos and stuff, I haven't talked about it yet in this video, but every other thing I've talked about on sleep still applies, okay? So what that means is basically everything, right? So number one thing being consistency still applies. And so this just means you actually have to stay consistent with this, okay? If you just like fall off, obviously you're not gonna feel very good. I'm about on my like first week of this and it's feeling really good. I actually just woke up from my nap and so that's why I kind of felt inspired to record this. So number one thing, just consistency. You need to stay consistent with this. And how I do that is basically through just alarms. So I set like an alarm usually 30 minutes before every sleep time. So let's say for my bedtime, which is now 11, right? So my bedtime is 11 now, and that means that my alarm is set for 10:30, right? So I have one alarm for 10:30 p.m. And then I have another alarm for like before my actual like sleep time, right? So usually my sleep time is at 2, right? So that is 1:30 p.m. 1:30 p.m. Yeah. And so 1:30 p.m. is my other one, okay? And then obviously, you know, I have my like wake up alarms as well, but having a bedtime alarm is very good because you actually like remember to sleep. And in terms of the habits that you do themselves, it's essentially everything the same. So you need to have a cool room. So mine is at 18 degrees Celsius. If you're not in Celsius, I don't know what that is. So yeah, cool room. I use an eye mask, of course. Eye mask. Earplugs. Get yourself some reusable ones. There's some really nice reusable ones. I got mine on like AliExpress, you can just say. What else? Oh yeah, mouth tape as well. There's a lot more that goes into sleep than just this, but these are like the easy things you can kind of check off on top of the consistency to just get better sleep by default. And you should do this on both your like normal, your like night, whatever, and then also in your dip. One very crucial thing though is for the nap, if you like don't fall asleep, okay, you still stay in bed for those full 90 minutes, okay? And you just like stay there. And the reason why the nap or the siesta, I like to call it, siesta is 90 minutes, okay? Is because this is one sleep cycle. And so if you just get in like 20 to 30 minutes, that will, I mean, you might feel okay, but the thing is that we want to complete one sleep cycle because you'll feel way better. Another thing you could potentially try and do, like if this, especially if this isn't 90 minutes like yet, you can try and like drink a coffee before you go and take this nap. That's kind of like extreme. I personally haven't tried that yet, but it's something I heard you can do. But yeah, keep this at 90 minutes. So that means like about like 100 minutes you could say in bed. But from my experience, if I keep the numbers very inflated, right? So let's say if I want to sleep like 6 hours in the night and then I'm in bed for like, technically, you know, I should be in bed for like whatever, like 7 hours, right? And then for this, it's like 90 minutes, right? So that means I should be in bed for like what, 120 or so, or maybe like 110 minutes. And so if I were to actually be in bed for this long, I would not be sleepy for either of these, okay? Because I'm also still in like a transitioning type of phase. I haven't like mastered this to say, like I haven't gotten adjusted to it yet. And so I would say actually keep the sleep times a little bit longer, shorter. Keep your like in bed times a little bit shorter. So if you want to sleep 90 minutes for your siesta, literally just be in bed for 90 minutes. Even though that's kind of wrong. Just like for now until you actually adjust. And so for when to work out, I actually have been like sick, so I've been adjusting to this, but I haven't worked out yet. But I just felt like really inspired to post this anyways. So when I would say to work out is probably like 2 hours or so before your siesta, right? So like, let's say like, how much? Like 3 to 6 hours before siesta. So 3 to 6 hours before siesta, this is like, I mean, it's more reasonable because if you're gonna like work out closer, you're probably gonna be way too energized. And then obviously like pretty similar thing for when you're like gonna go to sleep. Like I would say leave at least 3 hours before bed, before nighttime, before, I don't know what, night sleep, right? Okay, so your action steps, so that you actually get away from this video with something to do, are set your alarms, okay? Set your alarms, and this is essentially so that, I mean, you obviously stay consistent, but how you're gonna set it up is roughly 6 hours at night, okay? So if you want to sleep at like, I don't know, let's say like 10 p.m., okay? 10 p.m. till, 4 a.m. You just set your alarm for, actually you set your alarm for 9:30. So 9:30 p.m., right? So that's your bedtime alarm. And then your wake up alarm is gonna be 4 a.m., okay? So that's the only change you make here. After that, so yeah, I mean, for the first day though, make sure you actually like sleep less than you should. So even like 5 hours of sleep, just so that you get that bigger dip like we said. Okay, so you set that first and then figure out kind of where your energy dips the hardest. And so that was always like about 2:30 p.m. for me. So that was getting into bed at about like 2 p.m. And so I put mine to 1:30 p.m. I think. 1:30 p.m. Right, so that's my alarm for siesta. So that's 1:30 p.m. and then wake up at about, no, this is my bedtime alarm for siesta, right? Then I wake up at about 3:30. Okay, so that leaves me, if like I go to bed and I'm like actually in bed and like getting to sleep at about like 2 p.m. and then wake up 3:30. So that's kind of how like we said it would be. So set all of these alarms, okay? And on top of that, if you don't have your mouth tape, go ahead and get a surgical silk tape. Silk tape. This is by far like the best tape for just like mouth taping at night. It's just very easy to cut as well. It's just like good for your skin. Surgical silk tape, get yourself an eye mask because you don't want any light. Like you still want it to be like the same conditions as when you sleep at night to be during siesta. Okay, so get your eye mask and then get your, what was it? Get your earplugs. Yeah, earplugs are really good. On top of that, all of this only goes if you're consistent. And so if you're not going to be consistent with this, you can go ahead and give up right now. I hope this video helped you a lot, bro. I know it's kind of like an interesting video. Not many people film on a whiteboard, but I hope you got some good value from this, and clearly you did since you're watching to the end. If you're not already in it, I have my free community that's like called Weightisthenics. It's just like on the first link below, where, I mean, it's just like about weighted calisthenics. If you want some help, with your workouts or whatever, go ahead and hop on there. We can even have a one-to-one call. And I want to hear your results, so if you want to like comment them below or just like join the community and tell me personally, that would be great. So yeah, go ahead, do your action steps, get some good sleep, get some energy in. See you, bro. Keep overloading.